Hey Saints fans, today marks the end of our summer-long segment Behind the Moment. Like last week, we are closing out the series with a bonus segment introducing another one of the newest programs at Marymount, the track and field program. Here to chat with us again after joining us 2 weeks ago for the cross-country Behind the Moment is Head Coach Jonathan Morrow. Appreciate you jumping on again, Coach, for another segment.
Thanks for having me, Kyle.
As many of you might not know, John was hired prior to the fall semester of 2019 as the cross-country and track and field coach coming to Marymount from Division III Chatham out near Pittsburgh. Coach, if you can just start out giving us all an idea of what that transition was like from you from Pittsburgh all the way down to the nation's capital.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was a really smooth transition. Interviewing here, I kind of knew some of the hurdles that we were going to face, pun intended, I guess, of building a new program. Chatham has a split campus. Marymount has a split campus down in Ballston. We don't have an on-campus facility. I haven't had an on-campus facility for about 5 years now. And, I saw a lot of huge opportunities here with the number of student athletes in this area. Obviously, our location is such a huge sell. There's not a lot of small private Division III schools so close to the nation's capital. And being in Pittsburgh, I learned location can be just about everything because it gives opportunities for not just competition, but it gives our students a lot to do. And there's not a lot of places that we can have track practice, and then you can hop on the metro and be downtown just hanging out at the Washington Monument. So it's been a smooth transition, and I'm really enjoying my first year here. Everything's been great.
Well, the first year is in the books, and you kind of had no time to start getting the building of the program going, which I can imagine is beyond difficult when in track and field there's so many different events that are happening between the track part and the field part. So let's just roll through the first year that you've been at Marymount. Obviously, we'll get into the pandemic and how that affected you in the spring, but work through the fall and how the recruiting went and how that first year kind of formed out for you.
Yeah, so, getting started was a little, I won't say it was shaky, but it was definitely challenging. I was a one-man band for the first couple of months. And like you said, there's a lot of event groups, a lot of things going on. We did have some incoming freshmen, but the first thing was I had to deal with cross-country. So in September, we had cross-country going on. We had track practice going on. I was trying to coach the sprints and the jumps because that's all we had at that time. But then we added some throwers later on. And I was fortunate being in this area because I picked up some assistant coaches really quickly. Coach Smith came on in the middle of the year, and he's helped us out a ton in the distance. He's a D1 All-American from Michigan, and he's coached his daughters to some great success at the collegiate level. And then we added Coach Atkinson, who came from BYU. He's another older guy, works for the CIA, another perk of being in a big city. And then we added Coach Tynan, who came from William & Mary, and she had helped out our sprints course. So once those pieces were in place, honestly, it was a huge load off my plate just to get them with coaches who could really dive into the event groups. And then it gave me a chance to dive more into the throws. So I think just having that breadth of knowledge has been really big. And then having that strength conditioning component that not a lot of schools have has been really big. I mean, last year was a culture year. And how better to build culture than to face a lot of adversity like we have and just run with it. And I think that really defines the character of a team.
So you have a working roster and your first recruiting class is in now, but of course the pandemic in your first spring season halted everything before you even had a chance to get into some competition. What were the words to the team that you had to keep them motivated and training at a high level when everything was brought to a halt?
I think I probably stole this from a lot of other people, but I just tell the team that it matters what you're doing when nobody's watching. And the last 6 months, nobody's been watching. So, it's been a lot of, at the beginning of the pandemic, we were hopeful that it was going to end soon, just like everybody else. We were going to be right back to it. But when we figured out that it was not going to be a quick turnaround, it turned into, garage workouts with Coach Morrow on social media, where I was in my garage with a book bag full of hammers, and I would tell them, put it on a scale, show them how much it weighed, and show them how they could get creative with what they have. Because people who are going to win in the long run, they come up with answers. They don't come up with excuses. So I think they fed off of that, and we came out in a pretty good place. Obviously, when everybody came back and we started getting back into practice, we had some challenges. Not everyone was quite where we want them to be. But as we talked to other coaches within the conference and outside of the conference, I think we're coming back stronger than anybody.
So you are back at campus now. You've got the fall semester right now to get training. What's it been like with the team? You see some new faces there that you added in. Talk a little bit about what's going on campus right now.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of challenges. They're working with strength conditioning and the track and field staff every other day, but the hoops to go through, there's a lot of challenges this year with paperwork and just making sure everybody has proper testing, the clearances and social distancing. And right off the bat, there's big challenges of wearing masks. It's hard to do a running workout when you're wearing a mask. I found that out firsthand. When we did a little, Coach Grundy put us all through a little session of his to see how it would go. And I warned the team ahead of time. I said, guys, it's not as easy. I'm getting old and I'm a little out of shape, but it's tough. But it's just been, I think it's what you see at the professional level, through the college level, through the high school level, is everybody's just thankful to be back together. And to have that team atmosphere, to feed off of your teammates working hard and get some of that atmosphere back in your life after being alone for 6 months. So I think, just the gratitude that everybody has for what we're doing here, and especially as some universities haven't taken the right steps and the athletes had to go home. I mean, their season ends way before it starts. And I think here at Marymount, administrators the whole way down through the athletes, everybody, we want to do this the right way, and we want to be able to compete as soon as possible.
I want to turn the page into recruiting a little bit, because being in a pandemic, I can't imagine that makes things much easier on you. With it being a new program, I'm sure you're recruiting super heavy because you have so many events to recruit for. How have the last few months been going in terms of the pandemic and recruiting and the way you're looking to build the team moving forward?
Yeah, so I mean, we've had to adapt. Like I said, we're trying to make excuses, and the school's been great about us still having visitors on campus as long as we take the necessary precautions. And I think recruits had a lot of time over the past 6 months to talk to college coaches, get the feelers out a little sooner than they may have in the past. And that's been a blessing for us. I mean, the visits have stepped up, the number of recruits we have stepping up. It's going to be challenging in the next few months as we get into cross-country season. I used to love to go out to cross-country meets, to the big invitationals, do a lot of mailings, and those things just aren't going to happen this year. There's a couple meets in Pennsylvania and some other areas I'd like to get to, but definitely some unique challenges. But with that, I mean, I don't know, we have to control what we can control. And I think this next recruiting class is going to be we're just going to keep getting better and better. The numbers are going to get better. I think people are finding out about the school. And one of the big challenges that we're facing this year is just looking at performances of athletes. A lot of the males and females that we're looking at to come in for track next year, we're going off of times from their 9th and 10th grade years because their entire season was canceled. And I don't know what that's going to look like. And some of the coaches at even Division I, how do you offer a scholarship to somebody who you don't know what they can do? So we might even be able to pick up some stragglers that are coming in that didn't get the looks they deserve because they matured a little later. They didn't have the right training. So, I'm really optimistic for what we're going to do coming out of this.
Well, I want you to be able to use this platform right here for some recruiting right now. If I was a potential recruit, what would you want your recruits to know about Marymount and about your program that you're looking to build?
I think, if an athlete, I tell my athletes, look at a lot of different schools and understand what you want as a student athlete. If you want to come somewhere where you've got a world-class location, you've got access to a whole bunch of airports to go anywhere in the world on top of that, you want a small hands-on experience, and you want to be a difference maker as a part of a new program, then Marymount's definitely the place for you. I mean, we're in a great place in the AEC to make some big moves at the conference championship just in the next year or two. And after that, I think once we take that first conference title, we're not going to look back. I mean, conferences is going to be it's just going to be a bump on the way to nationals every year. And I can't wait to get to that point. And I think we're well on our way already.
Well, you heard it here first. You want to win some championships, come be a Saint.
That's right.
Well, that will officially wrap up our summer-long series Behind the Moment. I'd like to thank Coach for joining us today to talk track and field, and all of the other coaches, student athletes, and alumni that joined us through this journey. For more information on all of Marymount athletic programs, be sure to check us out at www.marymountsaints.com or give us a follow on social media. Until next time, go Saints.